Go live. Facebook is going live. YouTube is up. LinkedIn is up.
Looks good.
Okay.
Ready?
We should be live.
Okay, I hear it.
Hello and welcome to another episode on the Cultivate channel. Today we are going to talk about we're going to do something a little more interesting. We're going to talk about a more specific situation where you try something potentially and it didn't work, right? So what's better, right? What's more important? What's harder to do maybe? But more importantly for people like you, what would we recommend? And to get there, we're going to make arguments of which one is more important. And the two we're going to talk about is letting go, right? And let's say you try something, it didn't work out, and then just letting it go, right? That means you don't do it anymore. And the other one is trying something different, right? Don't do the same thing over and over again. Trying something different so that you can reach the thing you're trying to do. And what do you choose? So you will do trying something different, and I will argue letting go, which is what I wanted because I have a little bias there, clearly. So letting go. And I think letting go is one of the hardest things people really underestimate. For me, it's just really difficult to let go. I will say this, that what's helped me in the past in reference to letting go is thinking of it like I don't know if anyone, well, most people probably heard at least the sushi conveyor belt where stuff comes. And so I think that the best way to think about things is that you can do something else. Emotions, you can feel something else. We're so emotional. Most people are probably feeling two different things. One's just minor and one's bigger. We can choose which one we focus on, right? And I think that letting go is really important. And what I really like about letting go is that if you get it wrong, it comes back. Let's say you say, hey, I'm not going to deal with this problem. I crashed, right? I'm just going to ignore it, right? And then you got to go to work. Your car doesn't work, so it comes back, right? An emotion, let's say you're angry and you're like, okay, I'm just going to let it go. I'm going to enjoy and be present and be happy with my family. And then it comes back. You're like, okay, I wasn't ready. And I think that's the nice thing about letting go, that it's really hard, but that if you get it wrong, it just comes right back. So it's a really easy fix relatively. That being said, it is extremely difficult. And just for people to have a good understanding of what letting go means, I'm going to explain to you like your 2-year-old, because I recently did that with my kid. And it really helped me actually, because sometimes when you put it in really simple terms, the perspective changes. And so I did it with reference to emotions. I think one of the things that children struggle with a lot are emotions, well, humans in general, and trying to think of this thing. And I don't even think it's my idea. I think it's just a mosh pit of a lot of different ideas. But it's like labeling the emotion and then processing the emotion, accepting it, and then, well, actually, it depends on you. You can switch those around, whether you accept it first and then process it. But the last one's always letting go. And what I tell my kid is, the metaphor I use is like a balloon, right? You have it in front of you. And in the balloon, I tell them, can you get a hug? Oh, there's a balloon between them. Can I see your beautiful face? No, there's a balloon in front of you. Can I play a board game with you? No, there's a balloon. I'm holding a balloon. And so we have to let go of that balloon to be able to enjoy. And it comes to the now. But I think that it's really hard, especially when someone really wronged us. I think when you have all the vindication, validation from like, someone did something horrendous to me and I have every right to be angry. By the way, you don't need any validation to feel anything. But when you have a lot of it, it makes it really hard to let go, because you're like, I processed, maybe I went for a run, maybe I hit a punching bag, I did whatever, I felt better. And I'm like, but I have the right to hang on to this balloon, and telling them, no, let it go. Uh, and I think it's the power of realizing it really is just that, just letting it go. It seems so hard. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like jumping out of the plane when you're skydiving, right? It's just really, really, really hard, because once you do that, you're just falling. But I think the best way I've thought about it is like that, where it's jumping off a cliff with a hang glider, not jumping off a cliff and safely landing by whatever method. I think that's what it is. Letting go is that. It's so hard initially. It's so heavy, and it's there. And I think this is why it's one of the most important things. And I would say it's more important than trying something different, because so many people struggle with it, and it would make your life so much better. Because like I said, you jump off, your parachute goes off, you land. You're like, oh, I was over the wrong drop site. Get back on the plane. You go jump somewhere else, on the right jump site. And so I would say that letting go, and I know I kind of went off on a tangent explaining letting go, but I think that's important so that you know what I'm talking about in reference to letting go. Letting go, I think, is extremely important, because we don't carry it. And I think it's so important because, like I've said, being present in the now is the most important thing. And because we don't let go of stuff, we can't do that. And if you want to think about it like in how we started in reference to doing something, if you are trying to open this door, right, and the other door knocks, you can't go and open that door, because you're continuously trying to break this door open. But you don't know what that other door has. So letting go and be like, and maybe that other door that's knocking you can't open either. So you can come back and try to open that door, right? But we got to let go and just be like, because we get stuck so many times. I do, at least. I get stuck and trying again and again. Well, let me try this. Let me try that. I love puzzles, and I think that's part of it. And I'm very curious. And so I'm just like, I'm gonna open this door. I'm gonna open this door. I'm gonna get a lockpick. I'm gonna get an axe. I mean, like, it just keeps, and I get so caught up on it, and I lose sight of like, why do I want to open the door? And so I think letting go is extremely important when we try something and it doesn't work out, because it just lets you then be present on the next thing you're doing. And I talked a lot. So, Juliet,
Yes.
what do you have to say on trying something different?
Clearly, this is something that's a hot topic for you. I think I'm struggling. I mean, you witnessed us picking the topics, kind of seeing how they're opposed. I think again they're kind of complementary. But if you don't feel like you can jump off a cliff, then trying something different or trying something new, I guess it depends on the context, like which one you're doing, is a good kind of next step. But also, I'm thinking, bless you, I'm thinking if you can't, or you feel like you're not ready to jump off the cliff, because I think for many people that's feels like it's not an option to just let something go. And sometimes the reality is it's not the right moment, or you need more time, whether it's like that balloon is still there, and as much as you would really like for it not to be, you need another 10 minutes, you need another day, or another run, or whatever it may be. And that's just the reality of what the processing takes.
Processing.
So that is an important element. So then what is the different thing to try? And it can even be part of the processing, right? Trying different ways. And I think breaking it down for a child helps us to understand it for ourselves. So saying, well, do you need to hit a pillow? Do you need to scream? Not at someone, but just scream into the pillow. Like, what are the things that can help you? Do you need to write it down in a journal? Do you need to listen to music? Like, I think that is part of the trying something too. Like, what can you try? And maybe in the process of letting it go, or what can you try that's new to be able to see a different door, to be able to see a different course of action. And I think it can be challenging, especially when there's an element of focus, right? And I think this is where I also struggle, saying, okay, I have a plan, I have an idea, I'm going to do this, and I set my time, I set it in my calendar, and I do it. And I'm so focused on following my structure, like I have to get it done, I committed to myself, I will, that it's hard to step back and say, oh, wait, maybe I need to try something different. Or maybe
Yeah.
this isn't the best use of my time right now. So I think there's an element that's important in trying something different or trying something new and being able to see, okay, I can step out of my focus and then redirect like where my flashlight is pointing or redirect where my focus is. So both of those things in like part of the process to letting go, but also being able to acknowledge that you can change even a commitment to yourself if you need to.
Yeah, adaptability.
Yes. Yeah.
No, I like that. I really like that. You're right. We're not comparing the same like fork in the road. We're comparing like a fork that came before. And I think that you said it really well. Trying something different is the process, the how, and letting go is more of the potential outcome. But that doesn't mean we can't actually have a discussion on it. It's like, what is more important, processing it or letting it go? And I still feel like letting it go is more important. And I'll tell you why. Because sometimes, and this is, I'll tell you, I'm always thinking, right? And one thing that still floored me and surprised me so much is that sometimes you can just choose to let something go. You can be angry, sad, whatever it is, and you can just choose to let go. There's no processing. You don't even have to, really accept it, right? You process it, of course, if you need to. But there's a lot of things you don't need processing. There is so many, like the world is full of other human beings, and they're all emotional, right? And my kid seems to always. And misery loves company is what I'm trying to say, right?
Yes,
so you have the choice, like the sushi conveyor, right? You have the choice to be like, nah, I'm not going to take that. You're bringing me, it's like someone cuts me off, right? I always give this example, right? I hate traffic and it pisses me off. And it's really like, I got to get in the best zen possible. And when someone cuts me off, I'm just like, their mom's dying, they're going to the hospital, and I'm just like, keep looking, and I gotta really work, and I gotta let it go, because I'm like, if not, then I'm angry, I get upset, I get stressed, my blood pressure probably goes through the roof, all this stuff, and whatever I do next, I'm carrying it, right? And that's a perfect example where most of the stuff are small, superficial, things that are exceptional, things that won't happen again, and we can let all that go. And I think in many ways, we'd be a lot better off, because all that would then be present. And so I would say that even if you just keep letting stuff go in the little interim, right? Because then you have the unfortunate, dark underbelly where you let stuff go and you don't process it, so it keeps coming back. You still kind of, there's negative aspects to this, but you would still be able to be present in little spurts until it comes back and bites you in the butt. Yeah, I would still make the argument that letting go is more important, and if you're going to focus on one, that would be it. And looking from the perspective of our audience, which are people who are successful, and however you define that, whether it's education, money, title, or something else, I feel like we struggle with that. We struggle with being able to let go, because we're already successful. That means we were smart enough to know when a good idea came. We were trying something different over and over again, and we succeeded. We got to the top of the mountain. Whether that mountain was the mountain we wanted to be on top of is a different discussion. But letting it go, I think, it's going to be a lot more useful for those people. For me, it was. And like I said, I've been so surprised that so many things, it's like water off a duck's back, as they say. It just, comes, right? That's the saying, right? Don't laugh at me. I think that's the saying, where the water just like goes straight off, the feathers. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. I don't know. I've always had this notion that emotions need to be all processed and labeled and all this stuff. But there's so much out there that happens that you can just let it go. What do you think?
I think that's easier said than done. Like you said, it's very difficult, and I think it feels very theoretical, because I struggle to think of examples where for myself where it's just, I'm just going to let this go, right? And it doesn't require some processing or understanding or acceptance or time, right? That I think is maybe a practice to cultivate be able to let it go. I mean, something that I also think about is kind of the visualization. You know, you're talking about a balloon, but also it could be like it's a cloud in the sky, but the sky is still there. So you can see, you know, the cloud goes by. Okay, there's the sky, right? There it is, and you let it go. But that is much easier said than done. So I think it's about, in some ways, I mean, we've talked about this a lot, how usually the harder thing is the choice to make because it's a growth opportunity, it's a challenge. So I think that in many ways, letting it go is the harder thing. But I don't think that the message has to be just let it go.
No,
right?
of course.
Isn't necessarily
it's not healthy,
work, right? It's not healthy. I think you can build up, and I think for me, it's also understanding. Like I need to come to a point where I allow myself to, especially if it's something that has an emotional link, which many things do. Humans we're emotional, so letting myself fully feel. It's okay to feel I'm frustrated or I'm disappointed. Usually, you know, it's some kind of, but it also can be positive emotions too. And then that's okay. Let it come to the point where I've fully felt this, and then get to kind of the why. And
yes,
that
the why always
helps to
comes
say,
in.
oh, well, I've learned from this. I understand it. I felt it. Now I can begin to let it go. And I think that it's important that it doesn't have to be immediate. It doesn't, and it can all be a process of letting go too. Like, okay, I'm ready to let it go. There's still a little bit here. Oh, something's triggered that for me. Okay, I still want to, and I can let it go. I think it goes back to being part of the process of it. Okay, well, what will help me to let this go in this case? And then that can be in my toolbox.
No, I really love where you're going with it in reference to like trying something different in the goal of letting go, right? Because everyone, and the thing is, everyone is different, so you're going to let go in different ways, but more importantly, the circumstances are going to be different, so you might have to let go in different ways. But I think the underlining thing here is, I think I won. Not just kidding. This will happen time, but only because we have someone specific in mind.
It's true.
And I think you put it best when you said it. Like, it's a hard decision, so yeah, that's clearly the winner, because it is the harder thing. But like most things, it's the simple thing. It's the simplest thing, and yet the hardest thing. And I'm not going to sugarcoat that. I'm not going to, try to tell you that it's easier. But that being said, I will say that I guess for your homework is, because I'm thinking about, I struggled to really, I mean, just so people know, my dad was a drunk and abusive, and he had very old-fashioned ways of thinking, and that really frustrated me because he hurt me, and he didn't really understand it. I think he just pretended it wasn't there, even though he knew, and he drunk himself to try to forget. And then when he started sober, he was like, oh, let's just pretend it fucking didn't happen, right? Sorry. And for me, that was really upsetting, right? But what I had to understand is forgive him and let it go for me, not for him. But more importantly is I'm really proud. One of the proudest things I've done is being able to sit with my dad for like longer than 10 minutes, 20 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes. Sometimes I would reach almost an hour, and really just enjoy him. He was such a loving man and so hardworking. But if you talk to him, that would not come across. He was stubborn and just old-fashioned, and there was just so many things. And he thought, I don't know, like he knew how to push my buttons. And parents know how to do that, right? Yes. But I could sit there and do that. But it was because I was being conscious. And that's what I'm getting at. Be conscious of you, of your emotions, of how you try things. Because if you're trying something frustrated, then just stop and let it go. Because you can come back to it, right? Because you're not going to be able to succeed. Because you're not in a good mind set. The same thing with my dad. I would tell them, oh, I got to go. Or, I mean, one time I pretended I had a phone call and just got up, right? Because I was just like, oh, I feel this. I feel the tension. And it was, for me, it was my body. Like I started tensing. And like it was like maybe a fight or flight, and I was just like, oh no, oh okay, and I'd be like, I gotta end this, because then I wasn't enjoying it. Then it was combative. Then it felt like draining, and it was draining overall, but it felt like bad, where I was potentially getting to a place that wasn't healthy, that wasn't good. And so for me, it was yeah, I would say try to be conscious more when you're letting go, so that you can understand what to try differently that will probably give you better results. I know that was a lot, but in the end, like I said, try letting go of something, right? Anything. But be conscious when you do it. What's going on? What's going through your head? What happened? What are the things that are going on in your emotion, in your mindset, in your heart, even. And again, for me, it was just, I love my dad, and I was like, this is hard, but I want to be here, right? But at the same time, I was like, oh, my body's taking over. I can't control that, so I gotta, despite how much my heart might want to be into it, I gotta end it, right? And then let it go. Honestly, whatever we talked about, I don't even remember. I don't think I remember any conversation I had with him, to be honest, because it didn't matter. I was just there enjoying his presence, right? And that's because I let it go afterwards. If I focused too much on what he was saying, it would upset me, right? And again, I'm talking a lot because I guess this, like you said, I am quite passionate about this because I've had to learn really, really hard letting go. But at the same time, it's been something that is just life-changing. Completely, in everything, in how I do things and how I interact, all these different things. So letting go is extremely important. So go out there and try to let something go. And if you really want to transit yourself, let something go that's been there for a long time, and don't be afraid it'll come back. But like I said, be conscious of what is happening when you're letting it go, so that when it comes back, you can try something different. And I think this is like the best video ever because we actually combine both things, and it actually, like, not just like, I kind of, okay, do this before that. This is like really a combination of both. Sorry, I'm like breaking the third wall, I guess. Yeah, and I think that is going to be the secret sauce that's going to elevate you, that's going to get you better to letting go and make it easier, because it's not going to be easier. We were talking about butterflies. They don't go away. Letting go I don't think ever gets easy, but you get better at it. What do you think?
I think that is a good place to wrap things together, because it is all part of a package, right, of a process. And I think that's important, because sometimes you let it go and then it's gone and then it'll never come back. That's not the message. It's then, okay, it comes back, so you learn, try something else. Or like the butterflies before a presentation or before a difficult conversation, right? That's there because I try to tell myself that's there because I care, because I want to do something that's hard, that's going to be good for me or good for the other person, or is allowing me to grow. And I think that that's okay. And then finding ways to make it work for you or work for me, not necessarily be easy or not disappear, but being able to then try something new, to be able to let it go in that moment, and then when it comes back, you can do the same thing or something different.
Yeah. And the one thing I'll end with is be kind to yourself. I know I say it a lot and it sounds cheesy, but really what you're doing, like, understand you are jumping off a cliff with like a kite attached to your back, or jumping out of a plane with a parachute. And that is scary. That is big. That is hard. So when you don't land on the landing zone, or it doesn't go perfectly, be kind to yourself. I don't know how else to say it. It love yourself, but the action is actually that compassion, that kindness to yourself. Because if you don't, you're not going to want to do it again, right? This is something really hard, and then you're going and you're doing it, and then you're beating yourself up about it. Your body's going to be like, well, don't let stuff go. That stuff sucks. So do the hard thing. Be conscious about it. Try something different when it comes back, if it comes back. And if it didn't come back, I would say try something more difficult to letting go, because it'll most likely come back. And then try something different. But when it does happen, take a second and be kind. And honestly, pat yourself in the back. Like, you did something really hard, and you chose to do it consciously. And now you're choosing to go back into the ring and go another round. That is something that should be applauded. That is something that makes you great, right? And so you should recognize it for what that is. Anything else you wanted to add before then? All right. Well, we'll end it there. If you have any questions, please comment below. If you have any ideas of what we can talk about next, please as well. And if you want more information, please check out the book, The Selfish Guide. Please keep an eye out. I'm going to be putting out a framework for the book and for what we've been talking about in general. Something with the perspective more focused on our audience and how I can better make it digestible, the stuff I'm saying. So keep an eye out for that, and thanks for watching. Until next time, stay curious, stay open, and stay true to you.